There are certain names in sports that don't just belong to a game. They become part of people's lives. And in golf, maybe no name carries more weight, more memory, more emotion than Tiger Woods. That's why when even the smallest hint started floating around that he might return to the Masters, golf fans didn't just react. They felt something. Because this isn't just about another tournament. This is Augusta. This is legacy. This is unfinished business. And when Tiger says just enough to spark belief, the entire golf world starts leaning forward. Suddenly, every practice clip matters. Every public appearance gets analyzed. Every word feels bigger than it should. But what makes this story so powerful isn't just the possibility of a comeback. It's what that comeback would actually mean. For Tiger, for the Masters, and for fans who have spent years watching one of the greatest champions ever fight time, pain, and doubt. And trust me, before the story ends, there's one part of all this that says more about Tiger Woods than any trophy ever could. If you truly love golf, if this game means something to you, and if stories like this still give you chills, then subscribe and become part of this golf family. Because around here, we don't just talk about golf. We feel it. The reason this topic hits so hard is simple. Tiger Woods and the Masters are tied together in a way almost no player and tournament ever have been. For a lot of fans, Augusta doesn't just remind them of spring. It reminds them of Tiger in red and black, stalking fairways, staring down pins, making the impossible feel normal. So when there's even a whisper that he could be back, it doesn't feel like routine news. It feels personal. And that's what makes this so different from a normal comeback story. With Tiger, fans are never just reacting to form. They're reacting to memory. They remember 1997. They remember the roars. They remember the fist pumps. They remember 2019, when golf gave us one of the most emotional scenes the sport has ever seen. A moment that felt bigger than a win, bigger than a leaderboard. It felt like a miracle people got to witness together. But here's the part nobody talks about enough. Every Tiger comeback now carries two emotions at the exact same time. Hope and fear. Hope that maybe, just maybe, he could do something special again. And fear that the body simply won't let him. That's the tension living inside this story. Because let's be honest, nobody watching Tiger now is naive. Fans know what his body has been through. They know every return has come with pain, rehab, setbacks, and questions that never fully go away. This is not the young Tiger who could overpower a course and then walk off like nothing happened. This is a different chapter, a heavier one, a more human one. And maybe that's exactly why people are so invested. Wait till you hear what happened next in the emotional arc of this whole thing. Because this is where the conversation stops being about scorecards and starts being about belief. When Tiger hints at a Masters return, fans don't hear it like they hear other athletes making routine schedule updates. They hear possibility. They hear one more walk up Magnolia Lane. One more charge, even if it's only for a few holes. One more moment where the gallery noise starts rising for a reason nobody can fully explain. Because Tiger at Augusta still changes the temperature of the sport. Even now, when expectations are more realistic, he still brings something almost nobody else can bring. Presence. That feeling that something could happen. Not because logic says it will, but because history has trained us never to completely rule him out. And Augusta matters here for a reason. If Tiger is ever going to circle one place, one stage, one week that means more than just competition, it's this one. He knows that course. He understands its demands. He understands its patience. He understands where you can survive there with discipline, creativity, and experience, even when power is not what it used to be. That's why fans don't just dream randomly. They dream specifically about the Masters. And this is where everything changed in the way people talk about Tiger. At one point, the conversation used to be, can he dominate again? Now the conversation is deeper. Now it's, what does it mean that he keeps trying? That question hits harder. Because trying at this stage says something massive about who he is. Most people, after the injuries, after the surgeries, after the miles of pain, would have protected the legacy and walked away quietly. They would have chosen memory over risk. Tiger never seems built that way. He seems built to test the line one more time, to see if there is still one more week, one more round, one more moment left inside him. But here's the emotional twist. That refusal to let go is exactly why fans admire him, and exactly why they worry. You can feel both at once. You can respect the fight and still wonder what it costs. You can want the comeback and still fear the disappointment. You can tell yourself to be rational and still feel your heart jump the second his name gets mentioned with Augusta. That's what makes this story so powerful. It reveals something about fans too. Because deep down, this isn't only about Tiger Woods. It's about what sports mean when they're at their best. They let people believe in things that don't always make sense. They let people hold on to wonder, even when reality keeps trying to shut the door. And Tiger has become the ultimate symbol of that in golf. Now, let's get real for a second. A Masters return would not automatically mean contention. It would not guarantee vintage Tiger. It would not erase the physical limitations that have shaped this stage of his career. If anything, a return would come with brutal questions. Can he walk 4 days? Can he handle the uneven lies? Can he recover between rounds? Can his body hold up under competitive pressure, not just adrenaline? Those are serious questions, and pretending they don't exist would make this story less honest. But here's the part that makes Tiger different from almost everyone else. Even when the realistic ceiling comes down, the emotional ceiling somehow stays high. That's rare. Most athletes fade from relevance when they stop looking unbeatable. Tiger didn't. In some ways, he became even more gripping to watch because the struggle became visible. And this is where golf fans start losing it a little bit, because they know Augusta is not just another venue. It's the place where memory echoes the loudest. Every fairway feels haunted by earlier versions of Tiger. Every camera angle reminds people of something they once saw. And if he walks back onto that property again with a chance to compete, even in a limited way, the entire event instantly feels bigger. But wait, because the most meaningful part of this story might not be whether he wins, contends, or even makes a run. It might be what his presence alone says to the sport. It says golf still has living history. It says greatness doesn't disappear just because it changes form. It says fans still know the difference between hype and meaning. Because with Tiger, the emotion doesn't come from fantasy alone. It comes from what he has already given the game. The standard, the drama, the inspiration, the scars. And maybe that's why this possible return has people reacting so strongly. Not because they expect perfection, but because they understand rarity. There will never be another Tiger Woods story exactly like this one. Another player may win majors. Another star may dominate. But another figure who can make the entire golf world stop and feel, just from a hint, that's different. So if he does return to the Masters, fans won't just be watching a golfer. They'll be watching a chapter that refuses to close. They'll be watching someone who has spent years reminding people that greatness is not only about the highest peak. Sometimes it's about the willingness to keep climbing after the peak is gone. And honestly, that may be the most powerful version of Tiger yet. Not the untouchable Tiger. Not the machine. Not the legend frozen in his prime. The human Tiger. The hurting Tiger. The hopeful Tiger. The one who still looks at Augusta and sees possibility. And that is why golf fans are losing it. Because whether you believe he can seriously contend or whether you just want to see him take that walk again, you understand what it means. You understand that some moments in sports are bigger than prediction, bigger than analytics, bigger than common sense. They remind us why we fell in love with the game in the first place. This is why stories like this matter. They remind us that golf is not just about numbers. It's about memory. It's about emotion. It's about what happens when one player means so much to so many people that even a hint of return feels like an event. So now I want to ask you this. If Tiger Woods does make it back to the Masters, what would matter more to you? Seeing him truly contend, or simply seeing him walk Augusta one more time? Let me know in the comments. And if you want more golf stories that actually mean something, stay with this channel, because the next one might hit just as hard.